reorganize the building code and create the Residential Code Council, and amend various provisions of the North Carolina State Building Code.
The gentleman from Caldwell, Representative Hall, is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House pass House Bill 488, Code Council reorganization of various code amendments, notwithstanding the objections of government.
The gentleman has moved that the House do override the veto to House Bill 488. The gentleman from Union, Representative Brody, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. One of the, you all know this, one of the major, probably the biggest purchase for an average person is their home. And in order to allow that to happen, it has to be affordable. It has to be affordable to a lot of people, not only the very wealthy, but to the entry level. And so when we worked on this as an omni, and the key thrust of this is affordability. Now, just go over a couple of them. Of course, if there's any questions, I certainly don't mind taking them, but we started out with rearranging the Building Code Council. The current council is 17 members, and we have taken that council, moved it intact, and it's become what's called the Commercial Council. And because the commercial industry is a very specialized business, and over the years it's become a lot more specialized. Then, of course, at that point, we created the Residential Code Council, the 13-member. It still gives the governor the majority of the appointees, but we felt that we were more representative of that part of the industry. And there are a number of other issues in here, but one of them was very special to me, and I pushed it, was what's called the development of 3- and 4-family owner-occupied units. And one of the strangest things that when I moved here 27 years ago was there were no owner-occupied duplexes, 3-family, 4-family, up and down. They had duplexes side by side, and it was very strange to me. I wondered why, and the reason I wondered why is, or found out why, is because North Carolina code requires them to be built under the commercial code, which is very expensive, so nobody does it. So I thought I'd introduce that in North Carolina, and we put provisions for safety and fire control in them. And it's a very good product for anybody who lives in a large city. They're great infill products. Not only that, they are owner-occupied, and most people don't realize that FHA and VA and conventional will finance owner-occupied for 1, 2, 3, and 4-family units. People don't realize that, at least not around here. So that's a whole new product, and I'm looking forward to the cities adopting it. We've got a lot of good response from the cities, from Raleigh and Charlotte in particular, about this product and being able to use it. And we look forward to using it. Right now we'll be directing the Code Council to develop the rules for that. So other than that, Mr. Speaker, I stand for any questions or a vote.
Lady from Orange, Representative Price, recognized to debate the bill.
Yes, Rice to debate the bill.
Lady has 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, while House Bill 488 does have some merit, the bill does contain provisions that would have negative impacts to individual homeowners and adverse effects to communities at large across the state. In a letter that many of you may have seen, signed by numerous businesses and industry associations in opposition to the bill, experts and professionals state that the bill will, and I'm quoting this from the letter, stall ongoing updates to the state's nearly decade-old residential construction code and risk freezing all or significant parts of that code until 2031, including provisions that prevent fires in homes and that enable cost-saving mechanical system alternatives. Would prohibit safety officials from inspecting building systems that protect against high winds and water intrusion. Third, enable a newly formed residential code committee to weaken existing consensus minimum life safety requirements in commercial and multifamily dwelling buildings, resulting in substandard protection for North Carolina citizens. In addition, HB 488 delays updates to the North Carolina Building Code with regards to energy efficiency. New home construction in North Carolina would continue to be subject to 20-year-old energy code standards that are less energy efficient and more expensive for occupants to operate. Studies have shown that energy efficient homes help homeowners save money, thus lowering the total cost of home ownership, which is part of the American dream. In addition, per the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, the adoption and effective implementation of up-to-date building codes is one of the most effective means to mitigate damage to communities against severe and extreme weather. For homes built along North Carolina's coast, current codes can provide up to $32 in savings for every dollar invested through hurricane risk mitigation. Furthermore, applications to FEMA by North Carolina would become non-competitive, thus costing our state tens of millions of dollars in federal support for storm resiliency. To delay updates to the building codes when floods, hurricanes, and other dangerous climatic events are increasing and intensifying across the state, that would place property and people at risk of damage, injury, and death. Finally, additional local coverage reports that even our local fire marshals, environmentalists, and consumer protection advocates all oppose HB 488. So I ask this body to please vote to sustain the governor's veto.
Lady from Guilford, Representative Harrison, recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to Representative Price's remarks, I just want to emphasize a few things. So one is that there is one proponent for this bill that the governor vetoed, and that is, it's my friends in the Home Builders Association. But the list of opponents runs very broad, and it runs everywhere from, the governor who's been pushing energy efficiency in our state to the not friends of mine normally, the American Chemistry Council, all kinds of industry groups, roofing, building performance, the fire marshal. There are just a ton of folks who know that this is bad policy for North Carolina to undermine our building code and our building code council. This second point is this is inconsistent with House Bill 951, which a lot of us in this chamber voted for in the last biennium, that establishes a energy code and carbon goals, including 100% carbon-free by 2050. This bill is going to make it much harder to reach that. We're stuck with a 2009 energy code at a time when we need more efficiency than ever. And we all know that energy efficiency creates more homegrown jobs that can't be outsourced. So it's like a total win-win situation. Let me talk about the context in which we are hearing this bill. Maui fires, fires in California, devastating flooding in Vermont and Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We've had deadly heat around the world. Thousands and thousands are dying from the heat. We have sea level rise. We have increased storms. We're altering the ocean's current in a way that is going to be devastating down in a decade or two. And we have hot tub heat off the coast of Florida. This is our reality now. And we can do something about it. We can be more energy efficient. We can be more energy efficient. And we can do that by not undermining our energy efficient code, and also by not taking away the governor's appointments to the Building Code Council. That is another piece of this bill that's problematic because it is unconstitutional. And I have been debating these unconstitutional bills. It's costing us a lot of money. Maybe we have a new court that will rule differently. But we know we're losing money from FEMA, and we may actually not be eligible for disaster relief because of this bill when we have a devastating storm. I urge you to vote to sustain the governor's veto. Thank you.
All right, members, let me ask this. I'd advised the minority leader earlier, we got some logistical issues with a particular member having to leave here. So I would ask if members could please keep their comments on this to 3 minutes or less. If we go long, there can be a procedural motion, but if members will keep them to 3 minutes or less, I think we can dispose of this. Lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Cunningham, recognized to debate the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to pose a question to the bill's sponsor, Representative Brody.
I don't know that he's going to yield to any questions. The lady wish to debate the bill?
Oh,
No, he doesn't yield. He doesn't yield.
I see him standing up.
So do you wish to yield now?
What?
Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead.
Thank
He
you.
yields.
Thank you, Representative Brody. I want to address the issue of affordable housing in the state of North Carolina. Right now, in Mecklenburg County, to buy a home at minimal, you're going to need $300,000. That's minimal to live inside of the rim of Mecklenburg County. If we move forward with the bill as it is, it's only deterred 7 years before we would move to the next code. Is that correct? For 7 to 8 years?
The current code cycle, which we adopted in 2013, is 6-year code cycle. So 2012 code, 2018, and now we're 2024, and it'll be 2030. One of the unique things about North Carolina code system, and most people don't know because who asks, but I do, is that North Carolina, unique in probably in the whole country, is we have what's called a continuous amendment process. So the criticism that we don't keep up with codes, we may have a 2018 code right now, but if there is something significant, which there has been, adopted anywhere in the country and we want to do it, all we have to do is offer an amendment. In fact, anybody in this room, if you have a provision that you want to go bring before the Code Council, you can do that, and they have an obligation to at least take it up. So the idea that we're 20 years behind or anything is really ridiculous in this case.
Thank you, Representative Brody. One last question.
Oh, yes.
It was posed and it has been written that if the code was implemented as is, that it would increase the cost of building a new home in the state of North Carolina. It is estimated that it could be upward of $20,000 to $25,000 added to your new bill. Is that correct, Representative Bowden?
That's correct, and very interesting, the document that the folks want to quote but they never read is called the National Cost Effectiveness of the Residential Provisions of 2021 International Energy Conservation Code.
Representative Brody, the gentleman's time to respond to the question has expired. The gentleman
Okay,
called Representative Hall is recognized for motion.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I move the previous question.
The gentleman has moved the previous question to House Bill 488. Those in favor of the motion for the previous question will vote aye. Those opposed, no. The clerk will open the vote. Representatives Clemens, Quick, T. Brown, members wish to vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 75 having voted in the affirmative, 43 in the negative. The previous question is adopted. The question now before the House is the motion that House Bill 488 become law, notwithstanding the objections of the governor. All those in favor of the vote will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. Representative Johnson of Polk wish to vote. Representative Clemens, Representative Belk wish to vote. I see. Is Representative Clemens in the chamber? Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 78 having voted in the affirmative, 40 in the negative. Having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto, and the bill is sent to the Senate by special message. House, actually, before we take up the next one, the chair wants to recognize a few folks that we have with us today.